My child, the Most High is calling your name in the stillness and telling you that a major turning point is drawing near. One powerful enough to change the way you see the future. Yet you must receive these words through peace rather than fear. Step away from the noise for a moment. Breathe deeply and allow the thoughts racing through your mind to slow down. You do not need to rush to prove your faith, nor must you perform any ritual to become worthy of what is good. Love from heaven cannot be purchased through a comment, a number, or public interaction. What matters is whether you are willing to become alert, upright, and cooperative with the guidance being given. There were days when you asked for a sign, and nights when you wondered whether your silent cries had been heard. I tell you that no sincere prayer has been lost, and none of your pain has been treated as insignificant. Your name is not being spoken so that you may become proud or imagine yourself greater than others. You are remembered because of every time you continued choosing what was good in difficult circumstances. Every moment you preserved integrity when no one was watching. And every occasion when you rose again after something had completely exhausted you. There is a quiet recognition of that perseverance. Not everyone knows how much you had to endure simply to continue living, hoping, and caring for those around you. They saw only the calm appearance outside, while I saw the nights when you worried about your family, your health, and the resources needed for tomorrow. I knew every time you tried to arrange everything with weary hands, and every moment you concealed your sadness so that others would not become more worried. Therefore, these words have not come to place pressure upon you, but to remind you that you are not required to carry your entire life alone. The prosperity being prepared for you is not measured only by money. It also includes wisdom that helps you avoid a wrong decision, health cared for at the right time, a home filled with peace, and sincere relationships through which something enduring can be built. You may once have believed that you would feel safe only when your account became full. But deep security also begins through order in your thoughts, discipline in your choices, and the ability to keep panic from controlling your actions. I will stand beside you to guard the right doors. But you must also learn to close the entrances that have repeatedly allowed chaos into your life. Protection does not mean that you will never encounter difficulty. It means that you are given discernment to recognize what should be pursued, what must be refused, and who no longer has the right to enter the place where you are healing. A wave of change may touch your family, but do not merely wait for it to appear as a miracle requiring no cooperation. Some new paths will open through the work you are already doing. A skill you need to learn, a timely meeting, or an idea you once ignored. Provision often begins very quietly. It may appear as a small opportunity requiring faithful care before it can become something greater. It may come through learning to manage the money you already possess, ending an unwise spending habit, or courageously seeking counsel from someone with experience. Do not despise a humble beginning. A great river begins with small springs, and a stable life is built through right choices, repeated each day. I know you long for an unexpected breakthrough, but I also want your hands to become steady enough to preserve what is entrusted to you. If resources increase while old habits remain unchanged, abundance can quickly become a new source of pressure. If opportunity appears while you are still afraid to say no, others may consume the time and strength needed for your purpose. Therefore, preparation is not occurring only around you, it is taking place within you. You are learning not to decide from panic, not to chase promises of sudden wealth, and not to give trust simply because someone uses language that sounds spiritual. What comes from goodness will not need to threaten you by saying that if you fail to respond immediately, you will lose everything. Clear guidance allows you to think, verify, and walk in peace. Do not fear the voices that once told you that you would never overcome. Perhaps they came from other people, but many times they also arose from memories of former failures. You carried those judgments for so long that you sometimes mistook them for truth. Put them down today. You are not the money you once lost, the opportunities you missed, or the mistake that once filled you with shame. You are someone capable of learning again, rebuilding, and choosing differently. The chains of delay begin to break when you stop waiting for a perfect feeling before taking action. Complete the work that remains unfinished. Answer the necessary call. Prepare the application. Rebuild the plan. Arrange a health examination if you have delayed it. And speak honestly with your family about what needs to be organized. Every tear you cried was not a coin used to purchase blessing, because love does not operate as a transaction. Yet those tears watered the compassion, perseverance, and depth now growing within you. Pain does not automatically become good, but you do not need to allow it to remain meaningless. What you endured can help you notice those who suffer silently, understand the value of timely encouragement, and refuse to underestimate the help you are capable of giving. When fullness comes, do not forget how scarcity once felt. Let that memory make you generous rather than bitter, alert rather than fearful, disciplined but not closed to the needs of others. I stand at the doorway of your life as a guardian, but I do not protect greed, hostility, or unwise choices. I protect what is pure and being built, your dignity, peace within your family, sincere purpose, and resources used properly. Therefore, when an invitation appears, look at its nature rather than only its appearance. When someone promises unusually rapid gain, read carefully, ask questions, and do not allow scarcity to steal your discernment. Not every secret road is a good road. Not every opportunity has been sent for you to accept. Some doors are protected by your calm refusal. The greatest favorable judgment is not a mysterious event that ensures you will never experience difficulty again. It is the truth that your past no longer possesses the right to sentence your future. You may have been delayed, but you have not been removed. You may have experienced scarcity, but you were not destined to live forever in panic. You may have been misunderstood, but you do not need to spend your entire life proving yourself to those who have no goodwill. Use your strength to build, learn, and care for what truly belongs to your responsibility. When the old voice appears and tells you that you will fail again, answer through small but consistent action. Calm discipline will silence doubt more effectively than every grand declaration. My child, a new season may be opening, but you do not need to reveal every plan before it takes root. Some things must remain in stillness until they become strong enough. Do not speak too soon to those who continually plant doubt. And do not seek public approval for something you are still learning how to preserve. Share with those who are wise, trustworthy, and genuinely desire what is good for you. Privacy is not always fear. Sometimes it is the way you protect a young beginning from unnecessary opinions. When results appear, You will not need to persuade anyone. A healthy tree does not argue that it is growing. It quietly establishes its roots, rise, and bears fruit in the proper season. Now place your hand upon your heart and remember that you have not been left alone in the battle. I am near to remind you to preserve courage. But you are also permitted to receive help from the right people. Do not isolate yourself because you believe a strong person must solve everything alone. Seek reliable financial counsel when necessary. Care for your health through practical choices, and speak honestly with your family instead of concealing every pressure. Provision may come through human hands. Knowledge, cooperation, and healthy systems built one step at a time. You do not need to write anyone's name, leave a number, or click anything to activate a promise meant for you. What I desire is your willingness to live differently. Let today's confirmation become tomorrow's action. Release what has expired. Correct what remains disordered. And enter new opportunities with open eyes. Goodness should not be received in panic, but with gratitude and responsibility. I will protect you from what does not belong to you. Illuminate roads that remain unclear, and give you strength so that you do not return to former patterns. Move forward, beloved child. The true turning point began when you stopped handing your future to fear and chose to build with me a life of order, peace, generosity, and clarity. For a long time, you believed faith meant that I would stand beside you while you fought every battle yourself. But in this season, the instruction being given is clear in a different way. Step back. Release what you cannot control and allow yourself to rest. I know this command makes you uncomfortable because you have learned to survive through action. When something is misunderstood, you want to explain immediately. When your honor is wounded, you want to provide evidence. When a relationship begins to fracture, you want to repair everything before it collapses. When a door delays in opening, you look for another method, another sentence, another intervention that might force it to move. But this time, I am not asking you to try harder. I am teaching you a deeper form of obedience, remaining still when every instinct urges you to run forward. That restraint is not failure, nor is it evidence that you are losing the right to make decisions. It is alignment, the place where you stop using your own strength to interfere with a work requiring greater precision than you are capable of seeing. Imagine an ancient painting being restored. Its surface has passed through many years. Its layers of color have become fragile, and every line must be touched with absolute care. Someone standing outside may see a dark mark and think it only needs to be scrubbed harder. But if an untrained hand touches it, the most precious part could be erased forever. Therefore, the artist must work slowly, not because they do not know what they are doing, but because they understand that every movement may determine the survival of the entire work. This is what I am doing within several areas of your life. What you call delay may actually be carefulness. What you believe is unfinished may remain that way because another part still needs preparation. There may be a situation in which you are misunderstood and desperately want to stand up and correct the story. But the more you speak, the greater the danger that you will be drawn into an argument that produces no truth. A relationship may have ended without giving you complete closure, leaving you continually wanting to return and ask one more question. There may be an opportunity you could influence, pressure, or force open. yet a quiet resistance remains. You interpreted it as rejection. But a door that has not opened does not always mean that you are unworthy. Sometimes it simply means that interfering now would interrupt a deeper process of healing. Beloved child, I know remaining still makes you feel as though you are losing control. Yet there are things that can be resolved only when you stop touching them. You cannot soften a heart by continually forcing that person to understand. You cannot restore a relationship by carrying the responsibility of both people alone. You cannot clear your name by retelling your story to everyone who has chosen to believe a distorted version. The more you try to control how others see you, the more you place your peace into the hands of those who may not want to recognize the truth. I do not want you to continue living as though your value must be defended through endless explanations. Truth that is sufficiently strong does not require you to chase every person in order to prove that it exists. The deeper levels upon which I am working lie beyond your ability to interfere. There are conversations taking place that you will not hear. Thoughts are being changed within people you cannot reach through advice. Certain doors are being closed, not to disadvantage you, but to prevent you from entering a trap that would reveal itself only after many months. Some roads will open according to a timing that pressure, pleading, and effort cannot accelerate. You look at the silence and believe nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, many things are being arranged. The Father does not ignore the time you have spent waiting. I do not overlook the nights when you had to remind yourself not to act from panic. I see every time you put down the phone instead of sending a message you would later regret. I see every breath through which you tried to remain calm, while everything within you wanted to rush out and reclaim control. You wondered whether obedience was causing you to lose more than you gained. You watched others move quickly, seize opportunities, and appear to advance while you were told to wait. But you cannot see the price behind every door opened too early. Some things look like success on the surface, but become burdens later. Some relationships begin with intense emotion and end in exhaustion. Certain opportunities bring rapid recognition, but demand that you exchange peace, dignity, or your true direction. I am not holding you back so that you will fall behind. I am holding you because I can see the road beyond the door, while you can see only its front. Your waiting has never been empty time. While you were unable to act outwardly, I was still working within you. I was healing the need to control every result. I was teaching you to distinguish genuine responsibility from burdens you accepted because you feared everything would collapse if you did not intervene. I was freeing you from the belief that you must always repair, rescue, and keep everyone from leaving. There are seasons when courage is shown by moving forward. But there are also seasons when courage means sitting still, refusing to reopen a closed door, declining to answer provocation, and no longer pursuing what you have been asked to release. At this moment, your obedience takes the form of restraint. While you step back, I am not merely protecting you from greater harm. I am preparing a profound restoration. This is not a small replacement that temporarily helps you forget what was lost. Nor is it a thin covering placed over cracks that remain untouched. I am working with great care, reaching places you once ignored because you were too occupied with survival. I am restoring your ability to trust without becoming naive, to love without losing boundaries, and to hope without allowing outcomes to determine your value. True restoration does not rush, because it does not only change circumstances, it changes the way you enter new circumstances. If I returned what you lost before old patterns were healed, you might repeat the same cycle that caused your pain. Therefore, when you feel compelled to call again, explain further, pursue more aggressively, or force something to happen, pause and ask whether it is guidance or fear, attempting to regain control. Genuine guidance does not cause panic. It may require courage, but it also carries clarity and deep peace. Fear is different. It pressures you to act immediately and convinces you that if you fail to intervene now, every opportunity will disappear forever. Do not allow false urgency to control you. What truly belongs to you will not be lost merely because you take time to listen. Consider and move at the right moment. I am not telling you to remain silent forever. A time will come when you need to speak, act, cross the threshold, and fulfill your responsibility. But when that time comes, you will not need to force anything. You will no longer be controlled by the need to prove yourself, retaliate, or reclaim your image. Your words will arise from calmness. Your steps will no longer tremble through fear of losing something. The right door will not require you to betray yourself in order to enter, and your vindication will not require a loud campaign. It will reveal itself through results, maturity, and the way distorted accusations eventually fail to stand before truth. Therefore, allow your hands to rest. Stop touching the painting while the Father is still restoring every fragile layer of color. What appears slow does not mean that it has been forgotten. What remains incomplete is not necessarily a failure. I am doing what you cannot do, in places you cannot enter. Within hearts you have no right to control. Your part is to remain in peace. Fulfill the responsibility before you, and refuse to reclaim the work you have entrusted to me. One day, you will look back and understand that delay protected you. Silence clarified everything, and your refusal to interfere allowed restoration to unfold completely. Trust me a little longer. You are not standing still because you are powerless. You are standing still because you have finally become strong enough not to fight every battle alone. You once felt out of rhythm even within your own family. But this difference does not mean you were placed in the wrong home. It is preparing you to become a doorway through which healing can enter your household. I know what it feels like to sit among familiar people and still believe that no one truly understands the depth within you. You hear the same conversations as everyone else. Yet you also perceive what no one says. You notice the wounds hidden behind laughter, the tension concealed by silence, and the distance that exists, even while everyone sits at the same table. At times, you wondered why you could not live as lightly as others, why your heart was continually troubled by matters they easily ignored, and why you felt compelled to pray, reflect, and seek deeper meaning within every event. You believed this sensitivity was a defect that made it difficult for you to belong. But I want you to understand that it was cultivated so that you could recognize what needed healing before it became too late. I saw the expressions of relatives that made you hesitate to speak about what you believed. There were moments when you began sharing something honest, but when you noticed confusion or caution upon their faces, you withdrew your words and pretended you had not thought so deeply. You learned to make yourself easier to fit around, to speak more quietly, reveal less, and hide experiences you feared would be considered strange. You called this humility. but often it was simply fear of judgment. I do not condemn you, because you did what you believed was necessary to preserve harmony. Yet harmony built upon one person continually concealing themselves is not complete peace. I do not want you to create arguments or force anyone to believe as you do. But neither do I want you to keep extinguishing your lamp merely because others are not accustomed to its light. Being set apart is not a sentence of loneliness. I did not bring you outside familiar patterns so that you would turn your back upon your family, but so that you could see them with greater clarity. When you stand too close to old cycles, you can easily become swept into reactions passed from one generation to the next. Silence instead of conversation. Blame instead of listening. Control instead of trust. Or limitless sacrifice, followed by hidden resentment. The distance I allowed, whether mental, emotional, or physical, helped you recognize what no longer needs to be repeated. You are not called to condemn your roots. You are called to become someone courageous enough to interrupt a painful cycle so that the generation after you will not need to carry what former generations did not know how to release. Whether you are currently close to or distant from the people you love, your part begins through inner preparation. You cannot lead your family into peace if you still react through wounds that have not been cared for. Neither can you speak of forgiveness while using the past as a weapon during every disagreement. Therefore, before I open larger conversations, I am restoring the way you listen. Establish boundaries and speak truth without humiliating another person. Wisdom does not make you silent before everything wrong, but it teaches you to choose the right time, tone, and purpose. Some words are spoken only to release anger, while others are prepared in love to open a doorway of healing. I want your words to belong to the second kind. What is being built concerns more than your personal maturity. I am thinking of a legacy, of those who will come after you, and of the peace they may inherit through the decisions you make today. Perhaps you are the first person in your family to speak about emotions without shame, the first to seek help when it is needed, or the first to understand that love does not require acceptance of every harmful behavior. Perhaps you will be the one who changes how money is managed, how children are heard, how adults apologize, and how disagreements are addressed. These things may appear ordinary, but this is where a new legacy begins. Genuine awakening does not reveal itself only through intense emotions. It appears when a family learns to live more truthfully, responsibly, and compassionately. I am straightening what has become crooked, but not always in the way you expect. Some relationships need to be restored through an honest conversation. Other relationships can become healthy only when appropriate distance is established. Certain misunderstandings require time to be untangled, and some wounds need support from someone mature, trustworthy, or professionally trained. Do not force everything to be restored in one moment simply because you are eager to see results. I often work through very small steps: an apology without self-justification, a moment when you choose to listen instead of react, a meal no longer filled with criticism, or a call made after years of silence. You may not be able to see the entire picture, but every upright action is placing another stone upon the new road. You are not an outsider in the story of your family. Your presence carries influence, but hold this truth with humility. You are not everyone's savior, and you are not responsible for forcing all people to change. Each person possesses their own will, timing, and lessons. Your part is to become living evidence of what goodness can accomplish when someone allows themselves to be transformed. When they see you becoming calmer in situations that once caused anger, saying no without bitterness, and forgiving without returning to former cycles, they will recognize that something genuine is occurring. Your life will speak more clearly than lengthy sermons. You do not need to prove that you are special. You need only remain faithful to the work I am doing within you. There was a time when you concealed your journey of faith because you feared being considered too intense. You diminished what you had experienced, avoided speaking about inner renewal, and kept every lesson to yourself. Caution can sometimes be wise, because not everything needs to be announced, and not everyone is ready to receive it. But caution is different from fear. When you remain silent merely because you worry that others may no longer accept you, you give their judgment authority. I want you to learn how to share naturally, without lecturing, creating pressure, or using spiritual language to place yourself above others. Speak about what helped you change, how you learned peace, how you passed through pain, and how new choices are making your life healthier. When you speak from genuine experience, your words will not require display. Your family needs to see what I am doing, not so that they will glorify you, but so that they may recognize renewal as possible. Someone in your home is battling something they have not found enough courage to admit. Someone appears hard because they fear that if they open their heart, all their pain will pour out. Someone has lost hope but continues appearing normal so that no one becomes worried. You do not need to identify or expose them. Create a space safe enough for them to approach when they are ready. When you listen without judgment, protect what has been entrusted to you, and respect the pace of another person, you become a doorway of healing. A genuine guide does not drag people forward through force. They light a lamp and patiently remain there so that someone in darkness knows where to turn. Prepare for the transition by caring for yourself first. Preserve a sincere life of prayer, but also protect your sleep, health, and necessary boundaries. Do not turn service to your family into a reason to neglect your own needs. When you are exhausted, you are more likely to speak from wounds instead of wisdom. If you continually feel responsible for rescuing everyone, you may unintentionally begin controlling them. I call you to lead through love, not through sacrifice without limits. Help when you are able. Speak truth when necessary, and know when to stop, because the responsibility no longer belongs to you. The balanced way you live will teach your family that faith does not cause a person to destroy themselves, but helps them become whole and capable of loving in a healthier way. My child, feeling out of place was not the conclusion of your story. It helped you develop eyes capable of recognizing what needs renewal, and a heart able to understand those who also feel forgotten. Now, do not return to the family table as a wounded person waiting for everyone to apologize first. Return with the steadiness of someone who knows who they are, knows what they can give, and knows what they will no longer accept. Not everyone may understand you immediately. Some may resist the change because they have become accustomed to the former version of you. But do not fight for recognition. Let time, consistency, and good results testify. I am positioning you not as someone standing above your family, but as someone standing among them with open hands, a wise voice, and a life truthful enough to show that what was once broken can still be rebuilt through love.